one, and we don't talk anymore, because people are going to be listening now, okay?
Okay, thank you for your help.
All right, see you later. And who's in the room with you? I can't see.
Two ladies.
I can't see who they are. Well, welcome them, and go ahead and start at 6 up, okay? And I'll watch it.
Okay.
And see what's going on, okay? And you can change the brace rate now to the
All right. Oh, gosh. Shabbat Shalom, ladies.
Shabbat Shalom, it's Joy Wanha.
Hi, nice to finally meet you in person.
Yes, we both are on Barbara Hannah.
Hi, nice to meet you both.
Very nice.
All right, let me.
Did you come in today?
Yes,
And you'll stay the weekend and then come back next week?
yes. I was here last weekend learning.
I appreciate that you're doing this.
My pleasure. I came last weekend and learned the technology, but as you could tell, obviously, there were a few things that I didn't quite either get written down or sank in properly. So, oh, it's funny, the different screens have different delays. I'm looking at 3 screens, and in one I'm still putting on my talus, and the other I finally made it over here, and the third one is live, it's real time. Funny. Okay, let me find my, it took so long to get this stuff started that I didn't get all my notes in a row for the actual service. Oh my. I think this is it. Yes, there we go. Okay. So, you have copies of Likrat Shabbat in front of you, ladies? I mean, Leiv Shalem, not Likrat Shabbat, Leiv Shalem? Okay, wonderful. It's Kabbalat Shabbat in Leiv Shalem. So, let us start on page 5. With the bottom of the page, Shalom Aleichem. I'll give you a second to get there. Okay, we good? Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asharet Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Amalachim Kadosh Baruch Hu Boachem L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Amalachim Kadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom Malachei Ashalom Malachei Elyon Mi Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And just to give ourselves a chance to take another deep breath, one more introductory song on page 10. This one basically says, Beloved of my soul, compassionate Father, of course referring to God, draw me, your servant, to your presence. Yedid nefesh avarachaman, Mishok abdach el ritzonach, Yarutz abdach kemo ayal, Yishachave el mul hararach, Ki erab lo yedidurach, Mino fetzuf, Bechol tam hadur nae ziv haolam nafshi kol aravatach anail narefana la behar odla noam zivach Az titchazik v'tidrapeh v'hayed alach shivchat olam v'tigyehmu arachamecha v'chusnal beino havach Ki ze gama nixov nixav lirobeti vereruzach anaili magmad libi chushana v'halditalam igalena Ufros chaviv alai, etzukat shelomach, ta'ir eretz migbodach, nagila v'nismekabach, maher ahuv kiva moed, v'chaneni ki me'olam. La 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 Ya la 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 la. We finally begin formally the nature psalms, 5 in a row, 95 through 99, to welcome Shabbat. Page 11. Lechun ranen al Adonai, nari al tzur yish'enu, nikarmavana v'torah, bizmirut nari alo, nikarmavana v'torah, bizmirut nari alo, ki el gadol Adonai, Umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher be'aro mechkerei haaretz, v'to'afot harim lo.
Asher be'ado mechkarei haaretz, v'toavot harim lo. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. For great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests, too, are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai, who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. Arba'im shana kut bedor va'omar amto erev aveim vehem lo yada'u derachai asher nishbati be'api im yavo'u ne'el menuchati. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai barechu shemo, basaru miyom leyom yeshuato. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai, praise God's name. Day after day tell of God's deliverance. Tell the nations of God's glory. Speak of God's wonders among all peoples. For Adonai is great, surely to be praised, more revered than other gods. For the gods of the nations are man-made idols, but Adonai fashioned the very heavens. Grandeur and glory are God's honor guard, strength and joy where God is found. Offer to Adonai, peoples of the world, offer to Adonai honor and strength. Offer to Adonai the honor due God's name. Bring a gift of thanksgiving and enter God's presence. Bow to Adonai in the glory of this holy place. Tremble before God's presence, all who dwell on earth. Announce among the nations, Adonai reigns. The land is firm and will not be moved. Peoples will be truthfully judged. The heavens shall be glad, and the earth rejoice. The sea and its fullness roar. Meadows and all that grows in them exult. Even the trees of the forest shall sing praise as Adonai comes to judge the earth, judging lands with righteousness and people with divine truth. Yismech hu hashamayim b'tegael haaretz, yir'ah mayam umlo, ya'aloz sadai v'kol asher bo, az yiranenu kol atzei yar. Livnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'amim be'emunato. Page 15. Adonai malachta gel haaretz, yismechu yim rabim, anana va'arafel sevivav, tzedek u'mishpat mechon kis'o. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad. The many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. The heavens tell of God's righteousness. All the nations see God's glory. Worshippers of idols shall be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme must bow before God. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Ohave Adonai sin ura shomer nafshotcha sidav miyad rishaim yatzilim. Or zaru ala tzadikul yishrei lev simcha, simchu tzadikim baronai vodu lezecher kodsho. And on 17, Psalm 98, Mizmor shir l'Adonai shir chadash ki niflot asa hoshia lo yamino uzro akodsho. Sing to Adonai a new song. For Adonai has wrought wonders. God's right hand and holy arm have brought deliverance. Adonai declared deliverance as nations looked on. God's righteousness was revealed. God dealt faithfully and kindly with the house of Israel. The very ends of the earth saw our God's saving power. Call out to Adonai, all the earth. Break out in joyful singing. Sing to Adonai to the music of the lyre and voices making music together, with horns and shofar cries, trumpet in the presence of the sovereign Adonai. Let the sea and all that is in it roar, the earth and all who inhabit it, thunder. Let rivers clap hands, mountains sing in harmony. Greeting Adonai, who comes to judge the earth, judging the world with justice and the nations with truth. Yer hayam umlo devel veyoshveva narodim chauchav yachararim yiranenu difnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel betzedek ve'amim b'meisharim. The last of these Psalms 99 on pages 19 and 20. Adonai malag yergazu amim yoshev keruvim tanud haaretz Adonai b'tzion gadol v'ramahu al kol ha'amim. Adonai reigns, nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, awe-inspiring, Holy One. Sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai, our God. Bow down before God, the Holy One. Exalt Adonai, our God, and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai, our God, is holy. Adonai Eloheinu Adonidam El Nosei Ayit Alayim Enokim Alalilotam Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Vishachavu Lahar Kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Your turn to sing, and we are going to use a Spanish-Portuguese melody that's been here in America since the colonial Sephardim on the East Coast in places like New York City and Charleston, South Carolina. This is the melody that they sang and bequeathed to the rest of us American Jews. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim 21. Havu l'Adonai kavod va'os, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, hishachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod irim, Adonai al mayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai be'arar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, V'shaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, V'yarkidem gemo egel, Levanon v'sirion, Gemo ben reimim, Kol Adonai chotzev lahavoresh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yechol ayalot, vayechesov yarot, ufechalo kulo omer kavod, kulo omer kavod. Adonai lamabul yashav, vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai ozli amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. I heard you loud and clear. Let's move from Spanish-Portuguese style Sephardic to Hasidic for Lecharodi on 23, 24, and 25. And this melody, we get to sing the first one 5 times, but then we go through 3 more melodies in the next 4 verses. Take a deep breath, it moves kind of fast. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. I'll slow it down just a little bit. Shamor b'zachor v'dibur echad, hishmi anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultivert v'litahila. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nei lecha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikerem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, kumi tza'imi tocha hafecha, rav lach shevet b'megabacha, ve'u yakmol aleichem la. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 24. Pardon me while I grab my cup of water. Okay, we had a chance to catch our breath. 24, 2 more verses with this melody. Hid na'ari me'afar kumi, liv shivide divardecha mi, al yad ben ishai beit alach mi, korval nafshi di'ala. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Heat oriri, kiva odre, kumi ori, uri, shir da beri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. New melody. Lo, tevo shiva, lo, ti kalmi ma, ti shochachi, umarehemi, bach, yachasu aniye, ami v'nivnata, ir al dihila, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 25. Another melody. V'hayu l'shimsa, shosayich rachaku kol, mivalayich yasis alayich Elohai, kimsos katan al kahala, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yaminu smol, tifrotzi v'et Adonai, taritzi al yadish, ben parsi, ben ismecha v'nagila, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We rise. And you face the back. Bohi b'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lechadodi, lichad Pene Shabbat nekabela lekadodi likadkala Pene Shabbat nekabela. Okay. Try it on again later when we need it. Whoa. So, we finally get to the psalm that is called the Sabbath Psalm, Psalm 92, and that is on page 27 and 28. There's actually a little bit of an introduction to it. Mizmor shir, le'yom haShabbat. Mizmor shir, le'yom haShabbat. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and to sing your name, Most High, to proclaim your love at daybreak and your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand. The fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evil doer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high and anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous shall flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. And here's the melody that I think people will recognize. Halfway down page 28 on the right-hand side. Tzadik kadamar yifrach ke'erez bal-Lebanon yizkeh sherulim bebeit Adonai bechatzerot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva Jeshenim bera'ananim yehu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. And Psalm 93, which according to the book of Psalms is specifically for Friday, leading into Shabbat. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you were enthroned. Lord, you are eternal. The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves. But above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean, Adonai reigns supreme in the heavens. Your house, beautiful in its holiness, Your testimonies endure, Adonai, for all time. Mikol lahod maim rabim adirim mishbereyam adir bamarom Adonai edodecha ne'amnu meod levetecha navakodesh Adonai leorech Yamim. Okay. So I know that Rabbi Kramer often gives his sermon right here, but I think that I'm going to do something a little different. Let's keep going into the main body of the service, and then I will give you a little sermon, and that way I can gauge the length of it by how much time we have left, because we can't shorten the service. So, the main body of the service begins on 39A, and let me put this contraption back together here. I believe we do rise for Baruch. Yes, we are observing that. So, turn it on. I don't know, is the mic anywhere near my mouth? Hopefully. Okay. So we rise and face the ark. Let me turn this thing on. All right, page 39A. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. Okay, won't be that again for a while. Make sure I turn it off. There we go. Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky. God who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night and who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Living and ever-present God, may your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. Ma'avir yom u'mevi laila, u'mavdil ben yom u'ben laila, Adonai Tzevaot shemo, El Chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And on page 40 is a melody talking about God's love. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amachavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim Oranu limareta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu Shogveinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha Nismak b'divrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu V'yorech yameinu ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבת הקהל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'avta et Adonai Elohecha, kol labavcha, v'kol nafshecha, v'kol meodecha, ve'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher anochi tzaveka hayom al levavecha, v'shinandam levanecha v'dibartavam, v'shivtecha b'veidecha v'lechtecha v'aderech v'shochbecha v'kumecha, Kshartam lehod al yarecha, v'hayu letorafod bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beidecha, u'visharecha. On 42, let's do the middle paragraph to ourselves, and then we'll rejoin for the bottom paragraph. Vayim tishmu al mitzvah. Okay, let's do that third paragraph aloud. Vayomer Adonai al Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael v'yamarta aleim, v'yasu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdeihem ledorotam, v'natenu al tzitzit hagana b'dil dekelet, v'aya lachem letzitzit, v'ritem odo, uzkartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, v'asitem odam, V'lo taduru acharei levavchem yacharei nechem asher atem zonim achareihem Ma'an tizgeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai idem gedoshim le'elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiod lachem le'elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. The paragraph after the Shema talks about redemption. This is page 43a I'm reading. This is our enduring affirmation binding on us that Adonai is our God and there is none other. We, Israel, are God's people. God is our sovereign, redeeming us from earthly rulers, delivering us from the hand of all tyrants, bringing judgment upon our oppressors and just retribution upon all our mortal enemies, performing wonders beyond understanding and marvels beyond reckoning. God places us among the living, not allowing our steps to falter, and leads us past the false altars of our enemies, exalting us above all those who hate us. Adonai avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offering signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. God brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom, led them through the divided water of the Sea of Reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name. Mavir b'na ben gizrei yam sov et rodreim et zoneihem bit homotiba Rauva na vivurado shibechuvo dulishmo. Umalchuto bratson kibelu alehem. Moshe Miriam uvnei Yisrael lechanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru laham mi kamocha b'elim Adonai mi kamocha ne'er ba'kodesh noradi lot o sefelem Malchuteka rauvanecha, bokei ayam livnei Moshe, zeli anu v'yamaru, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, v'nemar gibad Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 45, we have the prayer asking God to grant us peace at night. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. For you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ushmor tzeideinu v'oenu l'chaim u'shalom me'ata v'ad olam. Fros aleinu sukat shalomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, aboreis sukat shalom aleinu. Yagol amo Yisrael. Yal Yerushalayim. And on the top of page 46, a very, very restful melody for V'shameru. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rid olam Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael ot hi leolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom Hashvi Shavat Vayinafash Uvayom Hashvi Shavat Vayinafash. With that, we will segue into our silent Amidah, for which we rise.
So, before we turn to a little bit of a sermon, let us sing Shalom Rav and Oseh Shalom. Shalom Rav can be found on page 51. This is Jeff Klepper's melody. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki Adahu Melech Hakon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Adahu Melech Hakon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. B'tovenecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol edu b'chol shah b'shalom echa. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. And on 52 at the very bottom, let's use a melody that the same gentleman wrote. It's a less commonly known melody for Oseh Shalom, but I think it's very beautiful. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Sorry if they got a little low. So, just a couple of words about Parshat Balak. This is the famous story of Balak being a Moabite king who hires a Moabite prophet to curse the Israelites. And on the way to where the Israelites are camped, the donkey that he's riding sees an angel standing in the roadway with a flaming sword, and he stops. And Bilam keeps kicking the donkey to get him to move forward. And finally the donkey talks and says, to use the modern language, "What's the matter you? Don't you see that angel standing there with a sword?" And the denouement of that part of the story is that Bilam finally arrives and meets Balak at apparently it's a couple of different oversights like high ground around the Israeli camp. And they come to one, and Bilam refuses to curse the people. And Balak gets extremely angry. And so they go to another place, and Balak orders more altars built to the pagan gods, and Bilam still refuses to curse the people. And finally, the third time, he utters the blessing, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Yisrael. How goodly are your tents, O Israel, your dwelling places. And of course, as those of you who come on to Havdalah tomorrow night will hear, that has been turned into a whole bunch of melodies. So many that we can't even all fit them into 1 week. So that is at the very beginning of the morning service, and some synagogues like it so well they do it at the beginning of evening services, Shabbat evening services. So that's just a little teaser, a little taste. Let's move on to Kiddush, and it's customary to rise for Kiddush. That's found on page 55 if you'd like to sing it along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'beratzavanu. B'Shabbat kodesh b'yahava v'ratzonin kilanu zikaron l'maseh b'reishit. Ki hu yom tekilah l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ivanu v'karta v'yotanu kidashta mikol amim v'Shabbat kodsheka b'yahava u'b'ratzon inkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadosh HaShabbat. And for Elenu, let me put this back on and switch cameras here. There we go. Make sure this is on. Get it on me. And for this, we'll open the ark. So Elenu is page 56 and 57. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'tegru l'yotzer b'reishit, shlo asanu k'goyei aratzot, lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu k'chol amonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, V'bnei melech malchei ha-melachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu noreh shamayim v'yosei haaretz, Moshe v'karo b'shamayim mimal, Shekhinah zo, kavhei meromim, Hu Eloheinu, Einod, Emed Malkeinu, Eves Zularo, Kagaru, Beruraro, Yaratayom, Hashabota, El Levavecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, Ashamayim Mimal,
Yal haaretz, Yal haaretz, mitachat einod al kein gwel karanai. Ya malchut shelcha yivol al me'adim lok begavod gagaru v'doradecha Adonai yimlok le'olam ba'ed Nemar v'ya Adonai melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushmo echad. And let us remain standing. Stuff off.
This week's yahrzeits are Olga Franco, Louise Blondheim, Herman Cohen and Marie Cohen, Morris Joseph Lyon, Fanny Stern, Morris Aronowitz, Simon Franco, Grady Golson, Jacob London, Paige Sass, and Fanny Snyder. Yes, that is our list. So, in their memory, we say Kaddish on page 58. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemeh Rabbah. Bialama divra hir ute, biamlik malchute, b'chaychon u'biamechon u'chay dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'zman kariv, b'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam u'lomei olmaya. V'parach v'ishtabach, v'poar, v'tromam, v'naseh, v'tadar, v't'ala, v't'halal, shmecht kudusha b'richu. V'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbekata, v'nekamata, d'amiran bi'olama, b'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And finally, please be seated. We will end on page 62 with Yigdal. Oh, let's see if there's any announcements that I'm supposed to be making here. Services tomorrow morning at 9:30, Havdalah at 8 o'clock, just on Zoom. Monday and Thursday Minyan, which I will not be here, for which I will not be here. Let's look at the weekly calendar. Monday, in-person only services with breakfast. A board meeting on Tuesday, Thursday in-person meeting of Minyan with breakfast, and Friday I'll be back. So I guess that pretty well covers the week. And let's finish off with Yigdal. Thank you for coming and keeping me company in person. Thank you all for everyone coming online. Let me move this mic back so you can actually see me. Okay, sorry that I didn't switch that back right away. All righty. 62. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza b'yeinei dal metziuto echad v'yein yachid k'yichudo nelam b'gam ein sof le'achtuto ein lo demura guf v'yeino guf lo naharoch elav gedusharo kadmon l'kol davar asher nivra rishon v'yein reshit le'reshito Hino adon olam b'chol no tzar yoreh gadul adon malchuto sheva nebuado nedano el anshe segulado v'difardo lo kam b'Yisrael k'Moshe od navi umabid et temunado Torah et Natan le'amo el al yad navi o neman bedo Lo yachal Yifhael
V'lo yamir dado le'olamim lezulado. Tzuveh b'yodei asit arenu, mabit v'sov davar b'kadmado. Gomel ish chesed k'miv alo, norein l'rash hara garishado. Yishlach l'gates yamim meshihenu, livdot mekakekes yeshuado. Metim Yechayel berov chasto, Baruch Adei Hashem tehilado. Metim Yechayel berov chasto, Baruch Adei Hashem tehilado. I wish Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I wish particularly to Rabbi and Irene that you are having a wonderful, peaceful Shabbat of rest, and if I made any boo-boos, my apologies, but I get another chance next Friday night and Saturday too. So hopefully tomorrow will be even smoother. Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Thank you. Here, let me turn this thing on.
I'm sorry there weren't roast people here, but everybody comes online.
Well, you'll have to talk it up a moment.
Yeah.
Because you were here for your set, right?
Well, we had made a plan to come because you were in town. It so happens it was my mother-in-law.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for keeping me company.
Yes.
I apologize for the slight glitches, but I thought I knew a lot about computers until it came up here that about and learned how to learn the code how you're supposed to operate.
It was good. It was great. Very nice.
Thanks.
It was good to hear your voice in person.
Thank you.
We haven't done that before, so.
No, you never heard me in person before. Well, thank you. Thank you. Maybe next week try to, I'm not leaving, I'll be here in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be here tomorrow morning? And
Oh, of course.
Havdalah's out just on Zoom.
Abdullah, I'll do for my hotel room, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But,
Where are you staying?
Hilton Garden Inn.
Is that off of Perryville?
Yeah.